have to, because I really want to take that much out of each and every day. You know what I'm saying? Because I
Mhm.
just really appreciate the fact of being here and being alive and having the human experience with a spiritual relationship with your creator. That's a beautiful thing, because you got people that's
Yeah, it is.
passing away every day. And for us to be here to still have another day, that's love, man. That ain't nothing but love. And so you have to be able to, you can't, I guess you can't help but be in a good mood, right? When you really realize, who you are, whose you are, and where you're going. When you understand that, the stuff in life, yeah, sometimes it may perturb you a little bit, but you will not stay there. You won't stay in that area, in that way of thinking, because God has a way of just pulling you out. That's not what you're supposed to be. And you mentioned it earlier about that. The full armor of God. The full armor of God. Would you speak to
Yeah,
the youth
Ephesians
how
6.
important that is to have that?
Yeah, there's going to be times where we don't see things. We can't see the spiritual realm because it's unseen. But those are the things that we are fighting against, the spiritual enemies of the darkness. And we just have to put on the armor of God. And you can read about it in Ephesians 6.
The full armor of God, breastplate, righteousness, helmet of salvation. You dig what I'm saying? You gotta have. See, I think sometimes, man, we as believers, we can't come outside half dressed. It says the full armor. So make sure you have the full armor, because see, you can have if you don't have that helmet on, then guess what? Something can get to your head. If you don't have that breastplate on, something can get to your heart. So you got to make sure that you have them both covered, and always tend to the weeds in the garden of your mind. Right? Because if you put it up in there, eventually they'll start growing, and then they'll choke out every bit of vegetation that you already have in your garden. So you want to make sure that you plow and hoe and do whatever you got to do, get up in there with the little garden tool and all that, and get all that grass up out of there, right? And tend to the weeds of the garden of your mind, because again, it is important, because see, God can't dwell in that unclean, in that mixed up place. You won't be able to see God. You won't be able to see him moving in your life if you just drown and messed up into a bunch of stinking thinking. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
from this, what this young lady is telling you guys, the youth, and I really hope you guys are listening. Get your head up, keep your head up, and keep your relationship with God intact. And it doesn't matter what other people think. God is the creator. He's the ultimate creator. You don't want to hear those words, "Depart from me, I know you're not." You don't want to hear those words. So you want to make sure that you're doing your best while you have breath in your body. They used to say this back in the church in the country, while you still have activities of your limb and breath in your body, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key, though, man. What are some of the school violence things, right, that just happened recently with the youth and stuff standing up? How do you feel about the youth protesting and marching and stuff like that? I feel pretty good that they're making a stand.
And protesting and what, I'm sorry?
About the gun violence and everything, about the shooting that happened in Florida and stuff. There's quite a few
Oh, yeah,
kids
yeah,
like doing
yeah.
a lot of marching and protesting and stuff now. In reference to that, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like, we don't always talk about these things because it's a sensitive topic, but we need to really pray about these things because prayer changes things. I really believe it.
Prayer does change things. I don't really I don't really think you people really understand. Some people do. I mean, I just some people do. But I think those that don't, that they have to really understand there's so much power in prayer, because you're believing those things, to happen, and you're trusting your creator again, because we can't see the spirit world, right? We can't see it. But at the same time, though, man, you feel it through that relationship, and that level of relationship. You just feel better, right? You ever heard a song that just made you feel better no matter what you was going through? All you ever heard a song that just made you start crying, and just you don't even know why you're crying, but you just crying. They're not sad tears. You're just grateful, because of you
Mhm.
get another chance at this thing called life. And that's a beautiful thing. And,
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm glad that you're enjoying it and living the best version of you that you could possibly live right now in your life. And again, as I say, at 18 years old, you have a long way to go, and you figured it out at a young age. And that is very imperative, because there's so many people right now that's 40 and above and grumpy and angry because they feel like they're missing something and they haven't gotten it yet. You've gotten that secret ingredient. And so all you're going to do is rise and shine because God has already shown you. I'll open up a window for you. I'll open up the doors for you. So he's already doing that for you. And all you're going to do is really just trust even more.
Yeah. And I receive them too.
Man, I receive them, man. You just, God is amazing. I mean, I'm really just amazed at the level of love that the Creator has for us and the doors that He does open us for us. And really, it's simple. It really is belief. And maybe the reason why so many people don't do it is because it really is that simple. But it really is just believing.
I'm sorry?
It really is just believing, though, and understanding that.
Oh, yeah.
And trusting your Creator at His word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's all about believing. Like, I'm going to share a little bit of my testimony. Okay. So, I grew up. I grew up in a Christian community. My parents were Christian. My grandparents were missionaries from Mexico. They were pastors. I always wanted to be a part of the church ministry. I wanted to, like, my mom even told me whenever I was probably like 3 years old, we were at church one day. I looked up at the stage and I was like, Mom, can I do that? Can I sing up there with them? My mom was like, yeah, you can. And my mom told me, she was like, babe, you look at me like so surprised, like, wow, like I can. So anyways, years go by, I turned 11 years old. I'm still a Christian. I get to sing. I have my opportunity. I talk to the pastor of the church at Christian Life Center, the pastor Richard Rodriguez, and I talk to him. I ask him, like, I'm there with my mom, and pastor thought that my mom had a question. My mom was going to ask something. And then my mom was like, no, pastor, stay, and I'm just like this little 11-year-old girl sitting on this big old chair. And he, like, turned his head and was like, oh, okay. And then I was just, like, asking, like, if I could do, like, one song, just one song, like, a special, to sing to the church, to sing to God at the church. And he ended up saying, yeah, but anyway, he asked me if I wanted to sing there, like, to be a part of the praise and worship team. And I was like, wow, like, I was like, what a blessing, like, yes, of course. So I ended up doing that for a few years, till I was about the age of 14. And whenever I was 14, this is kind of the year that a lot of things kind of went haywire, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. I went to this high school, and then I ended up wanting to try different things, like as far as like drugs and things that are not holy. So I fell into it. I stopped singing at church. I stopped doing all that. I stopped being Christian. I used to tell people that I'm not a Christian. I don't have a religion, that I believe that there is a God. But I didn't, like, worship him really. Like, I still went along with my day, But, anyways, a few years go by, and just recently, actually, this was like last year, my mom and I, we were going to go to this mission trip in Mexico, and I didn't want to go because, I wanted to stay out in Houston to do my drugs and all that bad stuff. But we ended up going. My mom forced me to go with my grandparents. So we went, and I was just, like, in the car, like, driving, like, thinking, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here with them? Like, I'm not a Christian, But at the same time, I was feeling kind of weird. I wasn't feeling like I was myself. I wasn't even feeling like I was a human. I felt like, in my mind, my mentality, I can control things. Like, I felt like I was God, that I was the controller and I was the creator. And it was a very weird, odd feeling because I felt like the only way I could get myself out of it was by singing songs or rapping songs. So it all depended on the type of songs that I would sing or rap, that it would get me out of this spiritual realm thing. And, so anyways, days go by. My parents, they picked me up from Laredo, Texas. I didn't end up going to Mexico. They were praying for me all night. And I ended up going to the hospital because they told me that they didn't know what was going on with me. I was going to commit suicide because this was all going on. Like, I felt like running away from the place that I didn't even know where I was at. So they had no choice but to take me to the hospital. And mind you, at the time that I was here, 3 days before this happened, I had took a pot brownie. I had ate one. And they had told me at the hospital, they said that if they find something, they basically told my parents, if we find, we're going to give your daughter a drug test. And if we find anything in her, then she's going to have to go to jail. And the person that told it to her is going to have to go to jail. And basically everyone's going to get caught up.
Wow.
So anyways, they took my drug test. And I was laying down in the hospital bed, and they said that they found nothing in my body, nothing, that I was clear. And right then and there, like, I knew it was a miracle from God, because 3 days before I had to go weed brownie. So it was kind of weird, but it was a blessing, honestly. But anyways, a few days later, I ended up getting to go home. I had some people from church come over and pray for me. And from then on, I gave my life to Christ. I just started worshiping God. And the only way that, like I said, the only way I could get out of this weird sadness, depression, anxiety feeling that I felt was the way is to sing, So I would just sing to God, rap to God. The songs I would write and listen to were always strictly of God. So yeah, like that's where I found my peace. And it was like, I say that I'm a living testimony because I saw it with my own eyes, like if I would have stuck with listening to the bad things that I was listening to, then I would probably be dead, honestly, because right then and there I already wanted to commit suicide by the way I was feeling.
Wow.
So yeah, like it was a blessing from who I was 5 months ago to who I am today.
And look what you're doing now. Because you made up your mind to believe and to trust. And you had people around you that prayed for you. Not prayed on you, Prey. Not prayed on you, but prayed for you. And were able to get a prayer through. And you were able to see that level of commitment and trust that these people had in God. And guess what? You probably like, shoot, I need to believe this too, right? And because the thing about it, you saw it work. You saw it in action. And as you stated earlier, there's no testimony like a living testimony, like a personal testimony. Can't nobody tell your story like you can tell your story and with the level of conviction and passion that you tell it with, because it was you that it happened to and nobody but you. And that's a beautiful thing, because everyone has a testimony. And yours is true. And yours is you're going to be able to, like I said, reach so many youth because of your level of belief and understanding of what God can do. Not because somebody told you, not because you read it somewhere, you experienced these things yourself. And so no one can take those experiences from you.
Yeah, and that's what I say, like, honestly, it kind of gets me mad sometimes whenever people, like, don't believe in God, like, they don't think that there's a God, because, like, I already know that there is, and it's just, like, I don't know, really, it's just like I really wanted people to know of it, so I just like pray for them. Like, just pray for the people who don't know that there's a God. Pray for them because they're lost people who don't know of God, and we need to pray for those people who don't know of God so God can reveal himself to them so they can be awakened in the spirit.
God will show you, won't he? I mean, if he doesn't show you while you're awake, he'll show you in your dreams. You just have to stay.
Yeah, I believe it.
There was a story I heard a long time ago. It was a lady had a refrigerator, bought a brand new refrigerator, and called the people. Said, "Oh, this refrigerator's not working." So she called the mechanic. Called the owner of the refrigerator company, the company. Send somebody out right away. Right away. This refrigerator is not working, and for the amount of money I paid for this doggone thing, it needs to work, or I want my money back. So they sent a technician out, and first thing the technician asked her, "Is it plugged up?" She said, "What?" He said, "Is it plugged up?" The refrigerator was not plugged up. Okay, that's the story that I heard. The moral of the story was, if you're not connected to the source, you will not get any power. No matter how expensive it is, no matter what it look like. So no matter what we look like, no matter how we're dressed up, no matter how we feel, look the part and, be all nice and everything. But if we're not plugged into the source, then we're just looking good, but we have no function. We won't function. We won't be able to be used to the maximum level of what we need to be used because we're not simply plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
that. That's what
Mhm.
and I like that story because it's about being connected